Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Effective Resume Thursday. We're very glad you're with us today. It's December 7th, 2023. Please note this event is being recorded. It's currently live on Facebook, I hope. The recording will be on the Career DFW Facebook page and the Career USA YouTube channel for others to view in the future. By participating in this event, you give consent for your name and picture to appear. Please note that any comments you put in the Zoom chat window will not appear in the recording. For those people on Zoom, if you have any questions, please just enter those into the chat window. For those on Facebook, any questions you've got into the comment field. We're monitoring both feeds. We'll get all your questions answered for you. Also, for those of you who are on Zoom, if you'd like to put in your contact information, do so. Let us know who you are, what you do, and target companies you've got. And connect with everybody else who's on the call today, because this is a great way to expand your connections. We will have time to review one or two resumes today live at the end of this session. If you'd like to submit your resume, you may do so using the chat box at the very bottom. You'll see a little paper icon down there. If you click on that, you'll be able to submit your resume. But I would ask that you remove your header information. That way, because we'll be on Facebook and on YouTube forever and ever, that you remove that information so that your personal information is not hanging out there. Just send it to Jeff Morris Host. So be sure to pick the one that says host, not co-host. All right. Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jeff Morris. Back in 2008, I started a website called careerdfw.org, a website to help those unemployed in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. In 2012, I launched a second website, careerusa.org. I have written a book called What I've Learned About Your Job Search That You May Not Know. It is available on Amazon. Since 2007, I've been facilitating and leading the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group. That group meets every Friday morning, and I'll tell you about our upcoming program tomorrow morning at the end of this session. And since 2017, I've been a member of the PIC Crew, which is also known as the Practice Interview Team. Remember, your resume, your LinkedIn profile, they are not going to get you a job. All they get you is a phone call. How well you practice your interviewing skills, that's what's going to get you your next job. All right, well, here's our agenda. Let me switch my applications here. So our agenda today is we're going to talk a little bit about the applicant tracking system. We're going to talk about a one-page bio. We're going to talk about a master resume. We're going to talk about the key components of a resume and just some really good practices of what your resume should look like to make it easy for recruiters to do something with it. And then the second half, if anybody would like to submit their resume, we can do that and take a look at those. Let's see here. Oh, come on, here we go. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is just a little bit of advice from an expert recruiter. This data that I'm about to share comes from Sarah Jacobs. She's a manager of business development. She works for the Thomas Edwards Group. So those who live in the DFW area, you've probably heard of the Thomas Edwards Group. They're a really good recruiting firm. Sarah's been a friend. She's done workshops for us here on this program. And so here's just some of her basic things that she'd like to do. On a resume, never include your home address. Do not include any pictures. You do need city, state, and zip, but we do not need your street address. You want to create a professionally named Gmail account for your job search. Jerry loves kitty cats at gmail.com is not a professional sounding email. Jerry Smith PMP at gmail.com is a professional sounding email account. So it's, you probably should have two different email accounts, one for your work and networking, and then one for your personal friends and family that you want to communicate with. Also, be sure that your voicemail box has a professional outgoing message and is cleaned out. You would not be surprised how many times you call somebody's voicemail box is full. You don't want that to happen. And you don't have to leave a long, a professional outgoing message is, hi, this is Jeff. Leave me a message. That's all you have to say. You don't have to put a lot. But recruiters want to know that they're calling the right person, just not that this is 214-555-1234. So, let them know who you are. Always include the entire tenure at one company on the same line as the name of the company. And then you list out any progressive positions underneath each title. And we'll show you that. I'll show you that on our sample resume, what exactly we're talking about. But you don't want to, if you have 3 jobs at one company, you don't want to list, I was here for a year, this for 2 years, this for 3 years. You want to have one line with the name of the company and you were there the entire 5 years. And then underneath it, you show the 3 jobs, the 3 little jobs that you're interested in. All right, next one, use a chronological resume versus a functional resume. Recruiters are everybody is used to seeing a chronological resume. A functional resume, if you send one in, they're probably gonna say, well, can you send me a chronological one? Hiring managers want to see your accomplishment underneath each position. I want to know where you did this at. Focus on hard skills, industry experience, and soft skills. Show results. Tell us what it is you did. Be sure to list any ERP, business information, and other software systems on your resume. And so let's say, elaborate on your Excel skills. If you know pivot tables, put that down. If you've got, let's say you haven't used InDesign, but you're good at Canva, you can put down Canva and then parentheses put down similar to InDesign and close quotes. That way you get the keyword match, the word shows up, but you're not telling somebody that you're not using that, you're using a different program that's similar to that. Be sure to include a brief summary instead of an objective. A summary is a 3-line about how you can help the company. We'll show you that in just a couple of moments here. Do not use I, me, or my statements. On a resume, it's always written in third person. Your one-page bio is written in first person, okay? So just sort of be aware of those things. All right, so a resume versus a one-page bio. I think everybody should have a one-page bio nowadays. That is a great networking tool. When you send a resume out to somebody, you're saying, help me, help me, help me, hire me, I'm looking for a job. The problem is when you send out a generic resume, you don't know what they're looking for, okay? A bio, though, is a very high-level document that sort of tells somebody about your career, what you've done. So, it focuses more on major accomplishments and expertise. A resume focuses on work history details and your credentials. So a bio, you can use it for networking. If you were working at a company and they wanted to post a little bit of information about who the people are that were working here, a bio would be a very effective tool. So here's one example of a bio. Yes, you do put your picture on a bio. You can see that it talks about, what the person did, a little bit about their background. They list their professional biography, their education, contact information, very important, and then some professional achievements and successes about what they've done. So this doesn't say, this is just a great information tool to sort of tell somebody, well, this is who this person is that I'm introducing to somebody else, or why do I want to connect with this person? Well, I really like what they've done in the past. Now, here's another bio. So you can do it horizontal, vertical, whatever floats your boat. But the only issue I have is over here on the very right-hand side, you'll see targeted companies and target functions. Target functions are great because it tells somebody about what it is you're looking for. But target companies, you have to be very careful. If I were to send this to somebody who worked at Coca-Cola, they would go, well, you don't even have Coca-Cola listed as a target company. You've got our competitor Pepsi. Why are you doing that? So if, I wouldn't send target companies. I'd be very, very careful with. This is probably okay if you're sending this out to your friends and family and maybe some professional contacts that you're not looking to hire at their company, but you just want to try to find leads. So be very careful. You don't want to ever send this out if you're getting ready to do an informational interview and you're going to Verizon and they don't see Verizon on there, but they see AT&T. So just sort of be careful with that. I'll show you where you can download all these documents at the very end of the session. So there's a great book about one-page bios, and I ought to get a commission from Mena every time I talk about this, but this book called Be Sharp. Be sure if you're going to get it. It's the second edition. It's about $17, I think, on Amazon last time I looked. You want the second edition. The first half of the book talks all about how to introduce yourself, your 30-second introduction, your 2-minute introduction. The second half of the book has about 30 or 40 bios in it, different formats of bios, why you should put together a bio, what should be on your bio, step by step putting it together. So I highly recommend, to me, this is one of the 3 books that I recommend that all job seekers should have, because I think a bio is very, very important. And what you see over here on the right-hand side, that's Mena's bio. Now, she's a professional speaker, she's an executive coach, and she trains trainers all the time. So this is more of an ad slick. Yours doesn't have to be this fancy. She's made hers very fancy because this is what she uses to promote her business and her coaching abilities. All right, let's talk about a master resume for a second. I think to make your job search easy, everybody should have a master resume. Take everything you've ever done since high school, put it into a big 10, 15, 20-page resume. The advantage to doing this is that when you see a job description, you go and you can delete everything that's not important, okay? So any of your areas of expertise, your supervisor names, addresses of the company, because it makes it easy if you're filling out a job application, all that information is right there on your master resume. You never, ever send that master resume out to anybody. It is strictly for you to make it easy. So when you're applying for a job, you don't have to think about, well, have I done AI? I used to do that back then. All right, so how should I word it? Because you already have done that. So I think everybody should have a master resume. You never send it out, but you save it, and then you delete everything that's not in the job description. All right, so what's the characteristics of good resumes? The goal of a good resume is to make it easy for the applicant tracking system and job seekers, job screeners, to determine that you're a good match for the job. Remember, a lot of people in HR could be their first job out of school. They may not understand what the job title is, but they've been given a job description and they've been told, go find me 10 people who can do this, okay? So we're going to talk about today formatting, the overall length, and the number of years that you should be putting on your resume. Now, for a number of years, and this is going to be a question I'm going to ask everybody here, is I think there's 3 options. Number 1, you show all of your experience. So that's sort of a master resume, but you've cut it down to only show what's pertinent to the job description. The second option is the most recent 10 to 15 years of your job experience. What do you do there? How much do you show? You just cut off everything after that time? And then the third option is, do you show the most recent 10 to 15 years plus a section called prior relevant experience? What I'd love for everybody to do is open up the chat window and put in A, B, or C. Let me know what you think the right answer is. Hey, Anthony, you've been here before, so you know my answer. Thank you, Lauren. Thanks, Dion. Carrie, thank you very much. Kevin likes C, thank you. All right, well, I like C the best, because having a section called prior relevant experience is you only talk about what's relevant, and all you do is you list the name of the company and the years you were there. You don't have to list any job titles. You're just sort of saying this is that I've worked in these companies. But what this allows you to do is that when you're in an interview and you have a star story and you're about to tell somebody, give them an answer, and you say, well, I worked at AT&T. Well, I don't see AT&T on your resume. Well, no, I did that like 20 years ago. Well, it's not on your resume, recruiters then sort of, what's going on here? Something doesn't make sense. So I prefer C, but if you're applying for a government job or a university and education job, they want A. They want to see everything you've ever done. So, how long should your resume be? I think 2 pages is what you've got to get it down to. Now, it doesn't mean 2 pages at 8 or 6.5 point fonts. You want that font to be 9 or 10 point or 11 point. We'll talk about that here in just a second. So, if you have to go to a 3rd page, if it's relevant, that's okay. All right, so fonts for your resume. I like these first 4 fonts: Arial, Calibri, Tacoma, Helvetica. The reason I like these fonts and these sizes are listed there is that these are easy, clean, easy fonts to read, okay? These next 4 fonts, Times New Roman, Garamond, Cambria, the problem with those fonts or any other fancy font is that these little serifs that are on it make it harder to read. Now, that may look good on a title screen, it may look good someplace else, but it's not an easy to read font. Remember, recruiters are reading your resume 7 to 10 seconds maximum. They're scanning your resume, they're not reading it. So you want to make it easy for them to do it. Who's actually going to be reading your resume? If you make it to the final 10, they may read it then. The hiring manager will probably read it. The recruiter will probably read it. But other than that, they're just scanning to see what they can find, okay? Now, margins. You do not want to have your resume edge to edge on a piece of paper. You don't want narrow margins. You want 1-inch margins, top, bottom, right, and left, because you want to make, white space is good. You don't want to, once again, you want to make it easy for somebody to read something, all right? If you're using bullets, the bullets you see here is the only kind of bullet you should use. No arrows, no little houses, no telephone, no any of those other little wingdings that are out there. Don't use any of those. Just use a plain bullet, because once again, some ATS systems can't read it. And once again, you want to make it easy for somebody to read things. You can use a little bit of bolding. You can use some underlining. You can use some italics. If you do that, though, make sure you're consistent throughout the entire resume. I've seen resumes that they're bolded it here, but they didn't bold it there. It's just like, well, but this is the same, effectively the same thing. Why isn't it? And all a recruiter's doing is they're looking for a reason to throw your resume out, okay? Do not use any text boxes, any headers, templates, any shadows, any graphics, because it will just mess up an ATS system. I had a resume yesterday. I was at the practice interview team and did a resume. And when I looked at the resume, he had a header built on the 2nd and 3rd page with his contact information. Not necessary. You don't have to put your contact. Most people do not print out a resume. Okay, nowadays they scan it on a computer. So beginning top of your 2nd page, top of your 3rd page, it's not important to put that information there. Okay, you don't want any templates, you don't want any headers or footers. Most ATS systems will not handle a header or a template, anything that's sort of unusual. If you're delivering it to somebody, that's a different story. All right, so how do you fill a gap on a resume? If you haven't been working for a year or 2 years, what do you put on there? If you've been out 6 months or less, you don't worry about that. But if it's more than 6 months, you probably want to put something down there. Here's some things you can do to put on a resume. That, what kind of community leadership did you do? What kind of volunteering experience? Did you do any continuing education? Did you take some classes? Did you take some short-term consulting gigs? If you've been a consultant, I always recommend that you just put down consulting, and then you can list a couple of the things that you've done underneath during that entire time period. Don't go and list this for 3 months, this for 6 months, this for 9 months, whatever. Just put it all in one area category. And then you want to add a few bullet points to explain what it is you've done. So any kind of consulting work, if you've done it even for nonprofits, let us know, let them know what that is. Any volunteering leadership, you should volunteer. This is a great time to volunteer. All the time is a great time to volunteer. You have the time, and who knows, you may meet a contact and network with somebody while volunteering that could help land your next job. Any certificates you've gotten, if you went back to go to school, if you completed some different classes, list all that there. So here's just an example. Community leadership and consulting. This person served as a panelist and coach for the Dallas practice interview team to help job seekers with their interviewing skills. Also provided consulting services to a local nonprofit on how to prepare and conduct job interviews and how to evaluate the candidates. Now, this local nonprofit happened to be a church. We always talk about you don't mention church in politics. So, churches are local nonprofits. That's a way that you can help, you can explain what it is you're doing. All right, so let's talk about the key components of a resume. You've got to have a header. You've got to have a little summary statement, a little about who you are, how you can help a company. The key accomplishment area is an optional section because if you're in sales, you may want to use it. If you've got some certain technical skills, you may want to put something in there. We'll talk more about that in just a second. Professional experience, chronological order, prior relevant experience. It's an optional field, but I highly recommend it if you've been working more than 10 or 15 years. You do need to list your education and software skills. Education goes at the very bottom along with software skills. That's where recruiters are used to seeing it at, okay? They're going to scan, they're going to go flip the page to the bottom of the second page. They're going to look just to see where you went to school at and what kind of degree do you have. And then your software skills underneath that. All right, so here's the header. The header, your name. Tell us the name you want to be called. My name is Jeffrey Morris, but I go by Jeff. So on my resume just says Jeff Morris. If you have a hard to pronounce name, put in parentheses, phonetically spell out that name. Make it easy for a recruiter to go. I mean, if I saw a real hard name, I may go, well, let me just see who else, because I don't want to have to figure out how to pronounce that name or mispronounce that name. But if you put the phonetic spelling down, I go, you've made my job a little bit easier. You want your phone number, city, state, and zip, email address, and LinkedIn address. You want your LinkedIn address in there because I'm going to look you up on LinkedIn. If you tell me that or not, I'm going to go looking for you. Okay, so put it on there. Now, your email address and your LinkedIn address should not be a hyperlink. You know how when you type it, usually it turns blue. You want to do hover over it, do a right click, and put on there remove hyperlink. Here's the reason. Let's talk about an email address. Let's say you have a G or you have a lowercase y or you have something that sticks down below the line. It's going to touch that line underneath it, and some ATS systems will not be able to read it. Okay, so remove the hyperlink. I can always highlight, copy it, and then paste it into where I need to go. I don't need to just click on it to make it happen. So that's perfectly fine not to make those hyperlinks. All right, your summary statement is not an objective. We don't care about what you're looking to do. I want to know how you can help me, okay? You want to include some key areas of expertise, and you need to modify. This is a section that you should modify pretty much for every resume you send out, because every job description is going to be a little bit different. Take the words, take the things that they're looking for in a job description, and make sure it's in your summary statement and your areas of expertise. Now, if I interview you on a panel interview, I'm going to ask you, so tell me what are your top 3 areas of expertise? You have 9 of them listed here. Don't tell me improving processes, user-face design, and developing test plans. Your top 3 better be the top 3 on the very top across, or it better be the top 3 on the left-hand side. Do it one or the other, okay, for your top 3. And make sure those top 3s are things that are in the job description. All right, now this is the optional area, key accomplishments. This usually is for salespeople, business development people. The thing I don't like about this is So you've told me you achieved 120% of a $1.5 million sales target in 2019. I want to know where you did it at. I want to know how you did it. So if you do a key accomplishment area section like this, I would highly recommend that you go and stick these also underneath your experience so I can see them there also. All right, professional experience. Number one, it's got to be chronological. Okay, we talked about chronological over functional resumes. You've got to be sure to use parallel verbs. A lot of English majors have become recruiters or working in the recruiting offices. Okay, as an English major, what do you really do with that? So you've got to be very careful. I'm looking to find 10 people who don't have any mistakes in their resume so I can get them to the hiring manager. So you want to make sure that for your current job, you can have present or past tense. On a past job, past tense only. So you can see the ones that are in blue for past tense, the ones that are underlined in red, those are current tense. Now you can have a past tense in a current job because maybe it's something you did last year. Maybe it's something you did 3 years ago. All right, and you want to list it. It's not a current thing that you're doing right now. All right. The other thing I like is include a one-line description of the company. Okay, no matter how big the company is, it can be a Fortune 500 company, or it can be a little three-man company that you found you're going to be employee number 4. Put down what it is you do. Listen, I've been doing this now for 16 years, and there's not a session, a networking session that I go to, and somebody mentions a company, and I go, I've never heard of that company before. Who are they? What are they? So put it in there. Make it easy. Even if you're working for one of the big, Fortune 10, Fortune 50 companies, just a one-line description of who that company is. And then you want to limit the number of bullets to each job. 5, 6, 7 for the current job, 3, 4, 5 for the one before that, 2, 3, 4 for the one before that. The further back you go, the less number of bullet points you have, but they need to be relevant to the job description. And most importantly, you have got to focus on results. Okay, results sell. Okay, when you have a result, I can ask you, how'd you do that? And then you can tell me a star story about how you did that. All right, very, very important. All right, I need somebody who can sell more product, decrease problems on the production line, manage shipping errors, getting them down, just whatever it is, show me you can do those things. And that's how I'm going to hire you or want to be able to talk with you. All right, under your professional experience for your details, limit to 5 to 6 bullet points per job. They've got to focus on results. We've talked about that. It's just so important. I read so many resumes and it reads like a job description. This is what you were supposed to do. Now you didn't, this is what you think you did, but you haven't told me, did you really do this? Don't really know. And make sure your bullets don't sound like a job description, okay? All right, I'm going to skip this screen here. We're going to move on a little bit. So what do you do if you have multiple roles at one company? What do you do? Okay, so we mentioned before, you want one line with the name of the company, city, state, and then the date. And you want that date to be right justified. And then the one line underneath it, sort of telling people what it is you've done. Then underneath it, you list the jobs that you had, along with the dates that you had those jobs, but you keep those right next to the job title. If you had those dates all out right justified, it would maybe make you look like a job hopper, okay? But here you're showing you've had longevity at one company, and now the shorter bits here just allows you, tells me, oh, you were promoted, or, you took a different job in the company, okay? So on a job description, this is just very, very important this way. All right, so what do you do about companies that have changed names? Happens all the time. So you've got two options. You give the current name of the company followed by the old name, XYZ company, formerly ABC. Or give the old name of the company first with the date with possibly the date of acquisition. So ABC company acquired by XYZ company in 2008. So you can do it, and you don't have to, you can just say acquired by XYZ company. That's all you have to do. You don't have to mention both. I was dealing a couple years ago with some guy, and I said, I don't know the name. What is this company? Who is this? Oh, well, we got bought out. We used to be Campbell Soup. Well, everybody knows who Campbell Soup is, but I didn't know the name of this new company that they called themselves. So I said, make sure you put down Campbell Soup, and in parentheses, acquired by XYZ company. And if you want to put the date, you can, but it's not necessary because you want whatever the name of the company is that people know. That's what you want to make sure is out there. All right, if you have any degrees, list your degree, major, city, school, state. You do not need to list when you graduated unless you want to. If it's something you just did, maybe you just completed your MBA, you can put that on there. That's one of those things you could put at the very top of your resume. Continuing education, completed MBA in December of 2023. And you could list that there, a couple of bullet points of things that you studied. List your software skills, very, very important. Now, if you're an administrative assistant, yeah, you need to list Word, Excel, Outlook, PowerPoint, project. If you're a CFO, I assume you know Excel. I assume that you know PowerPoint, that you know Word. So it's not important to do that unless it's in the job description. If the job description says you need to know pivot tables or you need to know Microsoft Word, you list those skills in your resume because that becomes a match, a resume match that can help you out. All right, if you don't have a degree, what do? I suggest you write something like this: school, comma, city, comma, state, dash, area of major of concentration, and the number of hours that you've completed. Okay? Tell the truth. Remember the coach up at Notre Dame several years ago who fudged his resume, his education, and 2 weeks after he got hired, he got fired. Okay? Tell the truth. You can also put down school, city, state, zip, area, major area of concentration, expected completion date, December of 2024. That would be okay also, if you're still going to school, if you're going to night school or something like that. All right, so let's take a look at a resume. So one of the very, very important things we talk about is it is very important for you to take the job description on the left, match it up with the job description on the right. Grab a yellow highlighter or whatever color highlighter you like to use and highlight on the job description, print it out, highlight it, what's important. What's important to you? What will, what do you think are the most important things on there? And then look at your resume and make sure that they're on your resume. So I've done some highlighting back and forth. We made this resume down to one page just so it would fit on the screen. So they're looking for a business analyst. I've been a business analyst in the past, so I put that down as my job title. So right underneath my name shows I'm a business analyst. I'm an innovative business analyst. I put that in my summary statement. I didn't mention this before. Your summary statement should be no more than 3 lines. Your areas of expertise, 9. No more than 9. 12 or 15 is just too many. 6 is too few. If you can do 9, 9 is really good. But you should be able to get that from your resume. Hold on just 1 second. Hey guys, stop. Hey, stop. Yes, I have 2 dogs in here, and what do they like to do? They like to wrestle with each other. So here they go. They're wrestling in here because they're both in here right now. All right. So next thing on here, business requirements. It was in the job description. You make sure it's in your summary statement because obviously it's important to them. They want to know if you can improve processes. You put that down as one of your areas of expertise. Cross-functional, be sure to mention that. Everybody loves the term cross-functional nowadays. Agile, Scrum, Visual Studio. It's in their job description. What you need to bring, you need to make sure you're showing them, you're telling them what it is you've done and do. Multiple sources, user manuals, making sure you're mentioning those things. Business process flow charts. user interface design. You're listing those things to make sure that they copy over. So just remember, keywords are very, very important, okay? The object of your resume is to match the job description to your resume. Remember, resumes are scanned, they are not read. They may be read down the line, but at the beginning, the recruiter, they got to have 100 resumes, 200 resumes to look through. They're just glancing through going, nope, nope, oh, here's a maybe pile. Nope, nope, maybe. No, no, maybe. Then they go back to the maybe pile going, no or yes. When you get those final, they first get the first 5 or 10 people they're looking for, then they're done and they're good to go, okay? A resume will not get you a job. It will only get you a phone call. So if you're not practicing your interviewing skills, you have a good chance of missing out right there. Okay. I remember I was doing an practice interview team a couple years ago, and I looked at the resume, I looked at the job description, I said, this is a perfect match. This person is so qualified. But when she came in for the interview, she blew the interview. She did not do well. She didn't have good star stories. Even though her resume, I mean, I wanted to talk to her just because when I saw the resume, but it didn't work. She went back, she practiced, she came back a month later, she practiced the second time. It made all the difference, and she got hired within 30 days after that. So you can practice more than once with the practice interview team. Don't forget. So remember, your resume isn't getting, if you're not getting phone calls, you probably need to change something to make that happen. And then another very important part is you never know why they called you. So when somebody calls you on the phone, hey, thanks for calling. What was it about my resume or what was it about my LinkedIn profile that made you call? When you ask that question, you now know what's important to them. And that's what you want to focus on to talk about those things. It's important to them. You never, ever know what that is. Also, one other thing about resumes is that when you go in for an interview, everybody who goes in for an interview, 3 to 5 people, whoever it is, on paper, they're all qualified. They're all qualified to do the job. They wouldn't bring in somebody who's not. When you come in for an interview, it's how well you tell star stories. It's how well you tell somebody that you can solve their problems. Your problems, they have a problem, you're a problem solver. This is what I can do to help you. Stay in that mindset. So I didn't see anybody who sent me a resume. Anybody have any questions? We'll be glad to answer any questions that you've got. Or we can just move on and be done. So any questions or comments? I'll show you where to download these documents at here in just a moment. Questions? Let me just go back through here. Yep. Okay. Nobody sent me a resume. All right. Well, let me just share a couple screens here at the end and we will be done. Here we go. Let me close this up. All right. So if you go to the careerusa.org website, okay, careerusa.org website, if you go there and you click on resources, okay, come down to here where it says video and handouts. When you click there, let's see here, click, it will open up this screen. And all the handouts for everything we do Monday, Tuesday, or Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday are all listed right here. And for, let me back here, for effective resumes, we have a sample T-cover letter. We've got a sample resume, a bio, the 2 bios that I showed earlier. And then we have 2 handouts that are full of action verbs. I think that when you start out a bullet point, you need to excite them somehow. Put an action verb to start every bullet point on your resume. It'll help pull you in. So all those handouts are there. You can download whatever it is you would like. All right, Career FW Career USA, we're putting on training 4 days a week. Tomorrow morning at the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group meeting, 9:30 in the morning, Locke Alderson will be with us to talk about what recruiters are looking for on resumes. Locke has been a resume expert. I mean, he's been a career coach. He's been looking recruiter for 30, 40 plus years. I don't like to say how many years, it's done a long time. So he's done this a really, really long time. If you would like to join us, you can join us. We'll be live tomorrow. You can join us in person, or if you live outside the DFW area, join us on Zoom or Facebook Live. Rick, Joy, I see, is it too late to share my resume? No, it's not. If you want to go ahead and put it in the chat window, just click on that little paper icon down at the very bottom and just send it to me only. We will take a look at it here. Just when I get done, we'll do it when I wrap up these few slides. Next Tuesday, our LinkedIn presentation is going to be with Ruth Lipsky, LinkedIn Tools for Job Seekers. So if you'd like to, it's a great presentation. Ruth does an excellent job of how you can use LinkedIn so that to find job tools for job seekers to help you out. Next Wednesday, the practice interview team will be meeting online. If you'd like to have an interview, if you'd like to be interviewed, I know they're looking for somebody for next Wednesday, join us. It will be on Zoom only. There'll be no recording available because we only record for the interviewee. So if you'd like to join us, we will be on Zoom next Wednesday. And then next Thursday, for the second Thursday of the month, we're going to talk all about networking. Heidi Torres, you may know her as HR Heidi. She'll be talking about how serving turns into networking opportunities. How when you volunteer, you can, how volunteering will help in your job search. So join us for that next Thursday. This session has been recorded. It will be on the Career DFW Facebook page and the Career USA YouTube channel. Hey, Bubs, stop. On the Career USA YouTube channel, click on playlist, and then at the very bottom, pick whatever topic you want. Every video I put up goes into one of 7 different playlists. And if you click on view full playlist, up will come a list of all the different titles and dates of people who've talked about, in this case, this is all about resumes. You can go back and find that information and watch any of those at your interest, at your time. If you'd like to join the Career DFW or Career USA LinkedIn groups, you're welcome to join that. You do not need to live in the Dallas-Fort Worth area to join the Career DFW group, but I will tell you, I will look at your resume. I will look at your profile. If it's not mostly complete, I probably won't let you into the group, because why are you on LinkedIn if your profile is not mostly complete? We've got over 15,000 members in the Career DFW group, and probably 1 out of 15 of those people, they're in recruiting. So they're trying to find you. If you're not receiving emails about our workshop, if you happen just to find our link on the website, you can join the Career USA mailing list. Just scan this QR code, send me a blank email, or you can send a blank email to Career USA, the + subscribe at groups.io. What'll happen is you'll never be spammed, but what you will get is the topic of the day, the title of the day, most importantly, the Zoom link of the day, so you can join. Please remember, Career DFW, we're a 501c3 nonprofit organization. We have no full or part-time employees. Everything I've done over the last 15 years has just been to help you land your next great opportunity. So thank you very much for joining us today, everybody. Have a great Thursday. Hopefully you'll join us tomorrow morning. And for those who want to hang around, we're going to take a look at Joy's resume here in just a second. So let me stop sharing. Well, let me get this going. Kids, stop. Dogs, aren't they wonderful? All right, here, let me save this resume. And we will save it. And click here, open it up. All right. Here we go. All right, let me share a screen, and I'll share a new screen so you all can see this resume. Hold on, before I do this, let me go and delete contact information off the top of this. Okay. All right, now I'll share it. Okay, so here is the resume. So What would I immediately say? My immediate say is you have tried to smash so much information on here that you've taken your margins down to less than a half an inch. Okay. You want 1 inch margins, top, bottom, and side. Okay. So, now if this is your master resume and you cut things out of this, that's great to keep it down to 2 pages. But personally, I like 1 inch margins because what if I want to write a note on here? If I print it out and want to do something. So I would say that first thing. Second thing is you don't need 5 lines, 6 lines here is too many. I think 3 lines max is all you need to have. Okay. Can you cut this down to 3 lines? Talk about whatever's in the job description. I think education should go at the very bottom. The only reason I put education at the very, very top is if you just graduated or you graduated in the last year. Other than that, let's see here. I'm looking at the very bottom. Yeah, it's not at the bottom. I would move it down underneath professional, right before professional training and certifications. Put it down, move it down to this section here. Professional experience. Idea Inc. I don't know what that company does, so I would say I would maybe put a 1-line. Tell me 1 line about what that company is, what it is they do. Enterprise Agile Coach. You got it. Transformation, competence, continuous improvement. This reads like a job description. Play the so what game. Read your bullet point and say, so what? What was the result? If you were to tell me a star story about this, what would that star story be? Star story, situation, task, action, result. Okay. I want to know what you can do, what you can do. Come up with some numbers, some details, dollars, numbers, percentages, whatever. Something that tells me what it is you've done. Results sell. They will sell you into a job. All right. Fiserv, dates. Also, the other thing is too, you don't necessarily need to list months on a resume. I think if you just list 2022 to 2023, that's fine. 2015 to present, great. I think that works just fine. Let me move this out of the way. Once again, I don't see any results. Okay. I need results. Tell me what it is you've done because I need a Scrum Master okay, nice job description. You probably do about what I want you to do, but I don't know how well you did it. And how can you tell your star stories? SunTrust, Agile Coach. All right, so you've got a few consulting. It looks like, consultant. So when you only work there for 3 months, well, you were there for 1 year and 2 months. That's okay. Whatever. Let me go down to the last thing. Professional. All right. So if you move your education down here, that would be great. Marketing analytics. Project manager professional. So you're a PMP. I know you had a couple of certifications listed after your name. So I deleted that information off of there. So those are great. Software skills, perfect. List those because you never know. Go to creative photos, InDesign. Yeah. List all that up there. That is wonderful because that's going to tell somebody, once again, if the keyword is in the job description, make sure those keywords show up in your resume. So all I would say is you need bigger margins, cut this down to 3 lines. If need be, let's see here, your font's 10-point font, so that's okay. I'd maybe even put a space here. I know you probably did it, put a space underneath this so that it's not quite. I don't know what's going on here. There's an odd space there, but yeah, give us 1 line about what the companies do, and just you don't need quite as many of these bullet points because number one, none of your bullet points have results. We need to see results. So let's see here. Need month. You're right. Kevin put on here, need month for most resume uploads. That's true. Some do, some don't. But, you know, if you do need it, you can get that off your master resume. And it's fine to put them on there. To me, it's just, once again, it's clutter, because if I'm looking at this, if I see you were there in 2022, 2023, I come down here 2021 to 2022, okay, that flows together. I'm not going to sit there and go, okay, well, this person was there to March, and then April jumped over to here. I'm not looking at months as a recruiter. The system software may want it, but the resume that you submit does not need to have that on there. Just go years, unless that's what they're asking for. You know, you're down this one right here, for Cox Media, 2017 to 2019, that could be 2 years, could be 3 years. I mean, this is a year and a half, it looks like. So, just know that. All right, let me see here. Rick, I've been consulting the last 8 years, different companies. That's why I listed each company. Okay, so then if that's the way, if you've strictly been consulting, I would put a category down here and put consultant. If you have an LLC, you can say consultant, blah, 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 LLC. And then underneath that, you can list, because what you won't do is you don't have these short dates. You have these long dates, and you can just list as a consultant, I worked for this company, and here are a couple bullet points. I worked for this company and a couple bullet points. You don't have to list the dates that you were there, because you're going to list that as one giant consulting group. Okay. Longevity, or in this case, if you're consultant, you're doing lots of different projects. Otherwise, people look at this guy, all right, a year. All right, this person's been a job seeker. They may not necessarily get that you were a consultant. I know you list it on here, but throw it all into one category. Don't put any dates. Give us a big date range. If they want the details, they will ask for it. All right. Let's see here. Oh, Ideal Inc. That's what your first thing is. So that's your LLC, I assume, over the whole thing. So then, to me, then all these other things, these were just little sub jobs that you did. So if that's the case, I'd move these dates over here, as consultant, to show that here's your main job since 2015, and then consultant. Because when you have dates over here on the very right-hand side, that tells me that's like another company. So, and, if you want to list dates, and in that case, I would definitely get rid of the months, because that's not important. The big thing is this, from 2015 to now, this is what you've been doing as a consultant. All right, everybody, have a great Thursday. What day is this? A great Thursday afternoon. If there's anything I can do to help you, please let me know. Hopefully you'll join us tomorrow morning. Locke's got a great presentation on what recruiters are looking for in resumes, sort of a follow-up to this. And have a great December. It's hard to believe it's already December. The year is just flying by. So everybody have a great afternoon, and we will see you all next time when we see you.